Hello everyone, it's me, Mimi Combs, and today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I read in 2017. So let's start off with January, when I read The Raven King, which is the final book in the Raven Cycle Quartet by Maggie Stiefvater. So my general impressions of this book was that I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a good end to the series. I actually wrote a review directly after finishing it, which I don't do for all of the books that I've read, but for this one I felt like it was perfect, so I wrote a review and I'll read some of that, but some of it might have spoilers, so I'll skip over some parts. This is just in general. It might spoil a little bit of like the first books, but I'm not going to read anything that's major spoilers for this series in general. The Raven Cycle is a must-read series. There's magic and psychics and searching for dead Welsh kings. I can't get over how connected I feel to all of the characters. Blue, Gansey, Ronan, Adam, and Noah. And then I describe all the characters in detail, but that might be a little bit spoilery. The series is based really heavily on character, but there's also a really interesting and confusing plot, and shocking plot as well. Personally, I was a little bit disappointed by the ending of this book, but I also kind of thought it was cool also, so I thought that maybe it was the best way to end it. So that's it for this first book that I read in 2017. Let's move on to the second book I read, which was Graffiti Moon. So the reason I figured out about this book was I found it on bookoutlet.com, and I think it has the Overstock dot on it. And Graffiti Moon, I thought it was an interesting book. I was kind of interested in it. It was kind of cool. But overall, this was one of my least favorite books, if not my least favorite book that I read this year. So I would not recommend this to a friend. I'm glad I read it, and I wouldn't read it again though. Okay, so this next book, the third book that I read in 2017, is called Karan Ball. And I really wanted to buy the book when I saw it because I thought the cover was amazing, but I just couldn't bring myself to spend like that kind of money on a book that I didn't even know if I would enjoy. So I actually checked it out from the library and read the book, and then went back and bought the cover. I really tried to look for the UK edition, which is really cool, and I like that one a little bit more than this cover, but I couldn't find it on Book Depository. I couldn't find it in the UK, so I just bought this one. And I really enjoyed this book. I thought a lot of people compare it to The Night Circus, which I haven't read yet, and I heard that The Night Circus is a lot better than this book. This book's more aimed at young adults than Night Circus, which is probably more young adult area. I think it's interesting, and I don't know, I was really invested in it while reading it. I mean, I would check it out if you haven't already, but also I've heard some people have kind of negative reviews about this book, and I can see where those come from. So if you have doubts, just check out another book on this list. The fourth book I read in 2017 is The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater, and I really love this book because, I mean, I think the plot is amazing. I think the characters are great, and I like the setting a lot. And it's basically a book where it takes place on an island, and every year there's a horse race with these like magical ocean horses, and it's just really amazing, and I really suggest this to all my friends. I highly suggest reading this book if you haven't already. I love Maggie Stiefvater, she's amazing. The fifth book I read in 2017 is The Titan's Curse by Rick Riordan, and it is the third book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. This is actually the only one I've read this whole year, and I still have to read the fourth and fifth books, but I liked this one a lot, and I really enjoyed reading it. I really wanted to read the fourth book, but I didn't get around to it, and I think this was an amazing book. Especially, it's a middle grade, but I think even if you're an adult, you probably could enjoy it. Let's see what I said directly after reading this. The past 3 months I've been in the biggest reading slump of my life. I literally haven't finished any books. But when our lit teacher started teaching us about Greek mythology and reading the Odyssey in class, I was inspired. Not to read the Odyssey itself, of course, but that's completely boring. For something else, lighter and much more useful, about my friend Percy. This is really stupid. This book did exactly what I wanted it to. It made me excited to sit around my room on Friday night and read. And that's all I needed. Now I'm ready to continue on with the next book. It was all light and fun, and that's why I like Percy Jackson. I needed a break from the Odyssey. The next book that I read this year is Kids of Appetite by David Arnold. This is the first book by David Arnold I read. I haven't read Mosquito Land yet, but I'm planning to. And this book, it was just so good. And I was really interested in it. I really enjoyed it. None of my friends liked it just because the title was weird, but I mean, I thought it was really cool. I love the main character. I just found it really confusing, but also really enjoyable. And I loved how they always would go back to the confession every chapter or so, or I don't remember. I don't know when I read this, but it was a while ago. But yeah, I thought it was really cool. I would recommend this definitely. And I bought this book because I thought the inside was just so interesting. To be honest, I don't really remember much of it, but I do remember that I really enjoyed it. So it's about a kid, I think, with... I'm not even gonna try. The next book that I read in 2017 is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. And I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I was just really interested in what the mystery was. I only bought it because my friend was with me at the bookstore. She said it was amazing, and because it was signed. Not only this, because I actually saw the author at my school and she personalized and signed it, so I can't show you the signature, but I swear it's there. And she gave me this little flyer. I can show you the signature, but I won't show you the name. And I also got a pass from my teacher because I was late to class. Okay, well, We Are Liars is a mystery about these rich people, and they're on this island, and this girl, she can't remember, but she walks out into the ocean and then wakes up in the hospital or something, and her boyfriend hates her. And the ending, oh god, just read it. I can't even talk about the ending. The next book that I read in 2017 is All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. I actually I have a signed book by her, but it's not this one. And I really wanted to finish the series, but I only got through one book. And I thought this book was really good. I enjoyed it. It's just a nice read, and it's really just sweet. It's not anything stressful that I'm I have to finish this. And that's probably why it took me a really long time to read. I've actually collected the other 2 books meanwhile. And yeah, I think I would recommend this. Especially, it's really girly. So I think anyone would enjoy this book. Recommend. And on to the second to last book that I read in 2017, and that is Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore. And this one actually took me a really long time to read, and the books glow in the dark, which I absolutely love. And I didn't know, but it looks absolutely amazing in the dark. The book itself, it's so amazing. It's really interesting because it's about this old bookstore with a lot of secrets and like a cult, but it's not a cult. Google, but Google's really cool. It takes place in the near future, and I think it's pretty cool, and I really recommend. And I didn't know, I couldn't guess what was happening at all during this book. I buddy read it with a friend. Okay, so this is the second to last book I've read, because there's actually one that I actually let my friend borrow because she was gonna read it, but she didn't finish it, but still, she has it. So the second to last book that I finished this year is Hansen. Oh, it's the script, and I haven't actually seen the play because it's only in New York, and I'm not in New York, so when it goes on tour, I'll be there. But I love it, and I'm so obsessed with this musical. And the script is really cool. It has all the lyrics to the songs in it, how they would sing it and who sings what parts. And it's so cool, and I really recommend this for any musical geeks and nerds. And I really wanted to read it because I read the first 3 pages on Google, and oh my god, don't read those because they'll make you buy the book. And so I did. and I would recommend. And actually I did recommend to my friend and she read it, and now she's reading Turtles All the Way Down, so that's really good. And the last book I read in 2017 is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. And I actually read that one in one day because I was in a car and it was like a long trip, so I just kept reading, didn't stop. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really like, I didn't know what it's like to live with a mental illness, but it's like you can understand it a little bit, and it's kind of freaky and also really interesting. So I really recommend that one, and my friend is borrowing it and she's halfway through. So yeah. And all of the books that I didn't include in here because I didn't have the copies because they're school books. So I read House on Mango Street and Lord of the Flies and Night, and all of them, like, they're good. I didn't enjoy having to annotate them, but they're all like school books that, I mean, I'm sure everyone reads them, so you probably already read them. If not, you will someday. And the last book that I'm currently reading on my Kindle is Genuine Fraud by E. Lockhart, because she came to our school and talked about it, and I thought it'd be so cool, so I wanted to read it, and I am reading it. So I'll let you know next year in my 2018 wrap up what it was like. And that's all for this year. I'll see you next year with my 2018 wrap up. Hopefully it's longer than this, because this year it's only like the books that I showed you and the one that I'm loaning out to a friend. It only comes out, so there's only 11 actual novels that I read, and that doesn't include the 3 that I read for school. But you know, it's still not that great. It's not even one a month, and I used to read a book a week for a while in middle school, so it's kind of disappointing, but I hope next year it'll be even more. So my New Year's resolution for reading next year is more than 11 books, and hopefully, I mean, I should be able to reach it. So I'll talk to you next time. Keep reading, don't be like me. Okay, bye!